Hello everyone, welcome. Today we are going to explain about the cryptography. Cryptography is the art of science and decrypting information to ensure secure communication. It protects our data by transforming readable message known as plaintext into an unreadable format called ciphertext, and then back again using special algorithms and keys. This three process has main goals. First is the confidentiality. Only those with the right key can access the original message, ensuring that sensitive data remains private. Integrity. The data is kept accurate and unchanged during transmission, so you can trust that the message hasn't been tampered with. The next is authenticity. It confirms that the message is really coming from the right source. And together, these elements make cryptography a critical tool for secure communication in our digital world. Cryptography is a very broad field. Here are some of the major areas that we are going to explain. The first one is the advanced symmetric cryptography. What is advanced symmetric cryptography? Advanced symmetric cryptography is a method of encryption where the same key is used for both encrypting and decrypting data. It is one of the oldest and most widely used techniques in information security. Advanced symmetric cryptography takes these basic ideas and improves them with more complex algorithms and methods to provide stronger security and better performance. Let's begin with the basics. Symmetric encryption uses a single secret key for both turning plaintext into ciphertext and back again. This means that both the sender and receiver must have the same key, and keeping this key secret is absolutely critical for maintaining security. Now there are two main types of symmetric ciphers, the block ciphers and the stream ciphers. The block ciphers encrypt fixed size blocks of data, such as 128 bits. Common examples are AES or Advanced Encryption Standard, or DES Data Encryption Standard, and Triple DES. Stream ciphers. These encrypt data 1 bit or byte at a time. They are especially useful for real-time application because they continuously mix the key with the plain text. Now, let's dive into some advanced techniques for block cipher algorithms. The most widely used is AES, or Advanced Encryption Standard. It is known for its high quality, security, and operates by using substitution and permutation networks. It runs through multiple rounds, 10, 12, or even 14 rounds, depending on the key size, to ensure strong encryption. Other algorithms like DES and Triple DES were used in the past, but they have been largely replaced by AES because of vulnerabilities. Well, there are alternatives like Blowfish, Twofish, and Serpent, which offer different security and performance options, giving us a range of choices depending on our needs. Encryption doesn't stop at the algorithm itself. The way we use these algorithms matters too. Here are some common modes of operation. ECB or Electronic Code Book. This is the simplest mode, encrypting each block independently. However, it isn't recommended for sensitive data because identical blocks produce identical ciphertext. the CBC or cipher block chaining. In CBC mode, each block is combined with the previous ciphertext block before encryption, which helps hide patterns. The CFB or cipher feedback and OFB or output feedback. These modes turn block ciphers into stream ciphers, making them suitable for encrypting continuous data streams. Next one is the CTR or counter mode. CTR mode uses a counter that is encrypted and then combined with the plain text. This method supports parallel processing and is very efficient. Moving on to stream ciphers, instead of processing data in blocks, stream ciphers encrypt data as a continuous stream. They are often faster and ideal for secure real-time communication. While older stream ciphers like RC4 have fallen out of favor, modern designs are much more secure and perform better. Now, let's talk about some key security concepts. Diffusion and confusion. Diffusion spreads out the influence of each plaintext bit over many ciphertext bits to hide statistical patterns. These techniques spreads the influence of each plaintext over many ciphertexts, making it hard to detect patterns. And the confusion makes the relationship between the key and the ciphertext very complex, which helps to protect against key discovery. The next one is the cryptanalysis and resistance. Cryptanalysis is the study of breaking encryption. Advanced symmetric systems are designed to resist known attacks. Keeping encryption practices up to date is essential to counter new threats. The best practices for cryptanalysis and resistance are regular updates to encryption algorithm and practices ensure they remain secure against new cryptanalytic technique. The side channel attacks. These attacks that exploit physical aspect of a system such as timing or power consumption. To defend against this, we use techniques like masking and constant time algorithms. Symmetric cryptography has many practical applications. Secure communication, which is the backbone for securing internet traffic through protocol like SSL, TLS, and is also used in VPNs to protect data over public networks. Data protection, which files and disk encryption uses symmetric cryptography to keep stored data safe, especially if a device is lost or stolen. It is also vital for mobile security. In real-time systems, advanced stream ciphers secure voice and video communications. Additionally, encryption plays a key role in protecting data in cloud storage. Looking to the future, there are several trends and challenges in advanced symmetric cryptography. The post-quantum cryptography, as quantum computers develop current symmetric algorithms, might need to change to remain secure. Researchers are actively studying how to strengthen this system against potential quantum attacks. Performance and scalability. Modern devices uses specialized hardware to speed up encryption without losing security, while software improvement continue to ensure efficiency and resistance to new attack methods. Because attackers are always developing new methods, encryption techniques must evolve. This requires ongoing research and collaboration among professionals to keep our digital information secure.
Good day everyone, my name is Dixie Villablanca and I will tackle about asymmetric cryptography. So what is asymmetric cryptography? Asymmetric cryptography, also known as a public key cryptography, is a method that utilizes a pair of related keys, which is a public key and a private key, to ensure communications and data. This approach allows for the encryptions and decryptions of message in a way that enhances security compared to symmetric cryptography, which uses a single key for both processes. So asymmetric cryptography commonly refers to as a public key cryptography. Is a vital method for securing communications and data in today's digital landscape. These techniques employ as a pair of mathematically related key, which is the public key, widely distributed, and a private key, which is confidential by the owner. And the fundamental advantage of asymmetric cryptography lies in ability to facilitate secure communication without the need to share secret keys beforehand, thus enhancing security to symmetric cryptography. So next is how asymmetric cryptography works. In asymmetric cryptography, each participant generates a pair of key, which is the public key. This can be shared with anyone. It is used to encrypt message. As long as you have the access of public key, you can share it with anyone. And the private key is, this key is kept secret. It is used to decrypt message that were encrypted with the corresponding public key. And the private key is, this is the confidential key, and only one person can use this key. So to understand more about asymmetric cryptography, so here are the mailbox example. This mailbox has a pair of key, like for example, the public key, which is hinahawakan ng mga random persons. And the private key, yung hinahawakan ng owner ng mailbox. So this random person, may access sila ng private key. So they are allowed to send message to the mailbox. This random person or sino man mga taong may access ng public key, they are allowed to send message sa mailbox. But only the owner, yung may hawak sa private key, siya lang yung allowed na maka-open sa email or message na nandun sa mailbox. Also, private key can do vice versa. He can also send a message to random key, open it using by their public key. So next is plaintext. This refers to the original readable message or data that is imputed into the encryption algorithm. So like kanina sa mailbox, before sila nag-send ng message sa mailbox, nag-input sila ng word na plaintext. Like for example, bird, readable siya, ganun. And next is the encryption algorithm. This algorithm transforms into the plaintext in a various way. So when the time na pinasok na nila sa mailbox yung message nila, doon na nag-encrypt yung message, nag-transform na siya into the various way. And the next is the ciphertext, the encrypted or scrambled message produced as a output. It can be helped find using both the plaintext and the key. But there are different keys, then it will give different ciphertext for the same message or plaintext. And next is the decryption algorithm. This algorithm takes the ciphertext as the corresponding and retrieve the original plaintext. So, yung time na inopen na ni owner yung mailbox yung encryption message na which is the rumble na hindi na siya readable, ganun. But when the time na inopen na ni owner yung mailbox, bumalik siya ulit sa plain text. So, ganito yung passage niya. Message, pagka-send niya, nag-encrypt into cybertext, but when the time na ginamit ni owner yung private key niya sa pag-open sa mailbox, yung encryption, o yung encrypted or yung message na naging cybertext is bumalik sa pagiging plain text niya. Ganun. So what are example of asymmetric cryptography? First is a RSA, Private Shamir Adelman, is one of the widely used asymmetric algorithm. RSA relies on mathematically difficulty of factoring large integer. It is common use in secure communications over networks such as in SSL, TLS protocol for encrypting data transmitted over the internet. And the next is the Diffie-Hellman key exchange is a method for securing exchanging cryptography keys over an insecure channel, allowing two parties to establish a shared secret without a prior knowledge with each other. This method allows two parties to secure exchange cryptographic key over the public channel. And also it does not directly encrypt message but enable the generation of shared secret key that can be used for symmetric encryption. And next is the elliptic curve cryptography, which is ECC. It is a form of a public key cryptography based on the mathematical properties of elliptic curve over unit field. ECC is another form of asymmetric cryptography that offers similar security of RSA, but with smaller key size, making it more efficient. It is increasingly used in mobile devices and application due to its efficiency. Next is the digital signatures are cryptographic tools that validate the authenticity and integrity of digital message. Digital signatures, asymmetric cryptography is essential for creating a digital signature which authenticate the identity of the sender and ensure the integrity of the message. The sender signed a message with a private key, and anyone can verify the signatures using the sender public key. The next is secure image communication is crucial for protecting sensitive information from unauthorized access and cyber threats. Asymmetric encryption is used to send encrypted emails. The sender encrypt the message using the recipient public key, ensuring that only the recipient can decrypt it with their private key. Next is the cryptocurrencies are digital or virtual currencies that use cryptography for securing and operate a decentralized network based on blockchain technology. Most cryptocurrencies include bitcoins, use asymmetric cryptography for securing transactions. Users have a public key that others can see and private key that they keep secret. Transactions are signed with the private key to ensure the authenticity. Next is advantage of asymmetric cryptography. First is the security. Since the private key is never shared, uh, it is significantly reduced the risk of unauthorized access. Next is the authentication. The ability to encrypt with a private key allows the recipient for to verify the sender identity. Next is the key exchange required. Um, Unlike symmetric cryptography or in encryption, where both sender must share a secret key securely, asymmetric encryption eliminates these needs um, since only the public key is shared. That's it.
Hello everyone, my name is Jovin De La Torre, and today I'm going to talk about Public Key Infrastructure or PKI. In this presentation, we explore how PKI works, why it's important, and how it keeps our digital communication safe. So let's get started. What is Public Key Infrastructure or PKI? PKI is a system that secures online communication, uses public and private keys to protect data, helps confirm who is sending or receiving information. So PKI ensures that the only intended people or website can access or read sensitive information. It relies on two keys, a public key and a private key. By verifying identities, PKI helps us trust that we are dealing with genuine people or services. Main parts of PKI. The first one is a public key, shared with everyone to encrypt data. The next one is private key, kept secret to decrypt data. Certificate Authority or CA issues digital certificates. Registration Authority verifies identity before issuing certificates. The public key encrypts data so others cannot read it without permission. The private key decrypts the data so only the key owners can unlock it. A Certificates Authority or CA is a trusted organization that issues digital certificates which confirm that a particular public key belongs to a specific person or website. The Registration Authority or RA helps the CA by verifying user details before issuing these certificates. How PKI works. A PKI works if a user or website gets the digital certificates from a CA. The public key is inside that certificate. Data is encrypted with the public key. The private key decrypts the data. So, the first one is a user or website obtains a digital certificate from a CA. These certificates include the user or site's public key and identify information. When someone wants to set data securely, they use a recipient's public key to encrypt the message. Only the recipient who holds the private key can decrypt and read the data. Digital certificates. Like an online ID card, proves a public key belongs to a person or website, issued and signed by a CA to show it is trusted. The digital certificate is like an online ID card or passport. It confirms that a certain public key truly belongs to a specific individual, organization, or website. When a reputable CA signs a certificate, it tells others they can trust the identity claimed by the certificate's owner. Digital signatures. Electronic stamp on a message proves authenticity of a document, shows if the message was changed. A digital signature is an electronic stamp placed on an email or document. It uses the sender private key to prove that the message truly came from them. If anyone tampers with the content, the signature verification will fail, alerting the recipient to change. Why PKI is important? PKI is important because of security, authentication, integrity, and trust. Security. protects data from hackers. Authentication confirms identity of sender or receiver. Integrity prevents data tampering. Trust helps user trust websites and emails. So PKI enhance security by encrypting data so unauthorized cannot read it. It provides authentication by confirming the identity of the sender or website. It ensures integrity by preventing data tampering, and it builds trust because users can be confident in the safety of their online interaction. In summary, PKI uses public and private keys to protect data. Certificate authorities issue digital certificates. Digital signature ensures messages are genuine. PKI helps keep our online world secure. So PKI relies on a public key or encryption and a private key for decryption. Digital certificates confirm the owner of a public key, and digital signatures guarantee that the message comes from real sender. By combining these elements, PKI helps keep our online activity secure and trustworthy.
Hello everyone, I'm John Mark Noyan, and my topic is all about key management. What is key management? Key management refers to the process and procedure involved in generating, storing, distributing, and managing cryptographic keys used in cryptographic algorithms to protect sensitive data. So, key management is the process of handling cryptographic keys used to protect sensitive information. Next, types of encryption keys. Number 1, symmetric encryption. Number 2, asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption uses a single key to both encrypt and decrypt data. And asymmetric encryption, a public key for encryption and a private key for decryption. So the symmetric encryption uses a single key to lock and unlock data. And the asymmetric encryption uses two keys, a public key for encryption and a private key for decryption. Next, the key management type cycles. Number 1, key generation. Number 2, key distribution. Number 3, key storage. Number 4, key usage. Number 5, key rotation. And last, number 6, key revocation and destruction. Key generation. Key generation involves using a secure algorithm to create a cryptographic key, which is essentially a string of random or pseudo-random bits or numbers. So, key generation are keys created using secure process, usually a random or semi-random method to ensure security. Key distribution. After encryption keys are generated, they are distributed to the necessary entities. For example, a symmetric key might be created using a secure random number generator and then distributed securely through a key exchange protocol or a shared channel. So the key distribution, once a key is generated, it must be safely shared with the intended recipient while pretending unauthorized access. Next is key storage. Once users have encryption keys, secure key storage is essential for protecting them from unauthorized access. Key storage is keys must be stored securely to prevent hackers from stealing them. Next, key usage. Keys can perform various cryptographic operations such as encrypting data, signing documents, or authenticating users. So key usage, keys are used to different cryptographic functions such as encrypting message, verifying digital signatures, or authenticating users. Next is key rotation. Keys rotation involves periodically replacing old keys with new ones. Regular key rotation helps to reduce the risk of key compromise and limit potential damage if a key is exposed. Key rotations are keys regularly changed to reduce security risks. This ensures that even if a key is compromised, the impact is minimized. And last, key revocation and destruction. When encryption keys are no longer needed or suspected of being compromised, revoking them prevents further use. So, key revoking and destruction, it means if a key is no longer needed or is compromised, it is revoked to prevent further use. Destroying old keys ensure they cannot be misused. And that's all. Thank you for listening.
So, good day everyone. My topic is about, our topic is about cryptography, but my topic is focused on digital signatures, digital certificates, and their roles in secure communication. So first, we have to define first what is a digital signatures. Okay, so a digital signatures use a public key cryptography to ensure the authenticity and integrity of data, or no, digital data. So they work by creating a unique hash of the message or document and encrypting it with the sender's private key. So everyone, digital signatures, like, say for example, you want to send a secret message to a friend, ganun. So you could write it down on a piece of paper, seal it in envelope, and lock it with your special key. So that means that only someone with matching key can open the envelope and read the message. So a digital signature works in a similar way. Parang same doon sa binigay ko na example. But instead of physical lock and key, it uses a special kind of math. And then the message is stored into a unique code like a fingerprint, ganun. And then encrypted with a secret key. So anyone can then use the matching public key to unlock the code and verify that the message is genuine and hasn't been tampered with. So in this way, you can be sure that the message you receive really came from your friend and hasn't been changed along the way. So it's like that a digital stamp or approval that ensures that the message is authentic and trustworthy. Next, how does digital signatures work? So first, we have a hashing. So a hash is an algorithm creates a unique one-way hash of the digital data. Any change to the document would alter this hash code, invalidating the signature's verifications. So first on how does the signatures work, we have a hashing. So what does it mean? Okay, so imagine nyo na lang na you have a document like a letter, ganun. You want to make sure that no one changes it after you send. So yung hashing doon, it's like you create a unique fingerprint of your letter, and then take note guys that a hash is a short code that represents your entire letter. So even a tiny change to the letter will create a completely different fingerprint. Okay, so next we have encryption. So encryption is the designer's private key used to encrypt the hash, forming the digital signature. Okay, so in encryption, to relate to the digital signatures, it uses also a secret key like your special lock, say for example, to lock the fingerprint. So this lock fingerprint is your, yun nga, sinasabi ko, is your digital signature. Next, we have verification. So verifications is the receiver uses the signer's public key to decrypt the signature and retrieve the original hash. They can create their own hash of the received data and compare it to the decrypted hash. If the hashes match, the data's integrity and the sender's authenticity are confirmed. So in verifications of the digital signatures is that, say for example, the person is receiving the letter and then unlock the fingerprint using the public key, like a matching key, ganon. So they can also create a fingerprint of the letter that they receive. So if the two fingerprint match, they know the letter hasn't been altered and it came from you. So That's a verification. It's like parang bine-verify ng receiver that the letter is authentic. Ganun. So, example of verification is that your friend uses your, say for example, your public key to unlock the fingerprint. So, this process called decryption, and then they create a fingerprint of the document they receive, and then if the two if your friend uses that fingerprints, or and then if that two fingerprints parang nagmatch yun sila, they know, or the receiver know, that the document is authentic and hasn't been tampered with. So that's an example of verification. So next is the key properties of digital signature. So first, we have a message authentication. Okay, so the receiver can be assured that the signature was created by the sender who possesses the corresponding private key. So message authentication is like you receive a letter with a special seal. So I'm going to say, for example, so that seal tells you that the letter is truly from the person who sent it. So it's like a signature that only the sender can create using their secret, parang ganun, like your special stamp that you only know that stamp kasi ikaw man yung may-ari ng stamp na yun. And then also, this message authentications ensures that you're not being tricked into thinking the message came from someone else, ganun. So next, we have the integrity. So, and data integrity, if the data is modified, the digital signature verification will fail, alerting the receiver to a breach in data integrity. So, guys, in second properties of digital signatures is a data integrity. So, data integrity, say for example, same nung example ko kanina sa message authentication that you receive a letter with a seal. But here in data integrity, say for example, that seal is broken. So if someone changes the letter after it's sent, the digital signature won't match the altered document. So it's like the seal breaking if the letters is tampered with. So this process would tells you that the message hasn't been changed or messed up with along the way. So parang magkakaroon ng notification na nagkaroon ng changes doon sa letter, at pag nagkaroon ng changes doon sa letter, parang yung letter na yon magbe-break na siya or hindi na siya magagamit, ganun. So next, we have a non-repudiation. So non-repudiations, the sender cannot deny signing the data as only they have the knowledge of the private key required to create the signature. So, non-repudiation, say for example naman, you get a letter with a seal, and then the sender later claims that they didn't send it. So, parang the sender deny na they're not sending letter because they are the one who has the secret key to create the specific seal. So, this means that sender can pretend they didn't send the message even if they try to. So, parang hindi sa non-repudiation, parang hindi pwedeng mag-deny yung sender na hindi siya nag-send ng letter na yon. Ganun. We have digital certificates. Okay, so digital certificates verify the identity of a device or user and enable encrypted connections. They bind a public key to its owner and are issued by certificate authorities or CES. So, guys, digital certificates, I like parang digital ID cards that prove that who you are, say you are online. So they were used to make sure website and devices are trustworthy and secure. So when you think of it like this, parang ano siya, when you visit a website and then you want to be sure it's actually the web that you think it is not and a fake copy. So digital certificates acts like a trusted seal of approval, ganon. So, letting your browser know that the website is genuine and safe to use. So, these certificates are issued by special organizations called certificate authorities. So, they are the only trusted organizations that would issue this kind of certificates, which they are the certificate authorities, so which are like trusted authorities in the digital world. So they check that the information on the certificate is correct and that the owner of the certificate is who they claim to be. So in other words, digital certificates provide a way to verify the identity of websites, ganun. So like devices or users, and they make online communication more secure by allowing for encrypted connections. They're like digital ID cards. So and also they help your information into safe. So how does a digital certificate work? So one of the process of how digital certificates work is issuance. So issuance is a trusted third party known as a certificate authority or CA. So it issues digital signature certificates or DSCS after verifying the identity of the applicant. So issuance is that, think of a trusted organizations like a bank of a government agency. So they check your real life ID to make sure you're the one who own it, ganun. So if they certified na, if they satisfied na ikaw talaga yung, or if they convinced na ikaw talaga yung may-ari ng, say for example, ng certificate na yun, they give you a special digital certificate which is like your official ID online. So this certificate has, like as what I've said, these certificates na ini-issue only by certification authority. So sila lamang yung mag-i-issue ng certificates na yun. So next we have a component. So a DSC or digital signature certificates contains the holder's name, public key, validity period, and the issuing CA's name. So these type of certificates, like as what I've said, has your name, a unique code that identifies your computer and a date when it expires. So it also includes the name of the organizations that issued it. So alam naman natin sino yung nag-issue nun. So ganun. And the next is we have a validation. CA signs certificates to prove the authenticity of the individual or organization that requested it. So they manage domain control verification and ensure the public key belongs to the requester. Okay, so I know. Okay, so validation, the organization that issued the certificate signed it to say it's real. So this is like them putting their stamp of approval on it. So this way anyone can check that your certificate is genuine and that you are authentic, ganun. Para ikaw talaga yung may-ari ng certificate na yun. So verify nila that you are the owner of that certificate. Okay, so next we have the types of digital signature certificates. So first we have individual digital signature certificates. So this is used to identify a person and can be used to sign electronic documents and emails. So in individual digital signature certificates, think of it like as your personal digital ID card. So it verifies like your identity and lets you sign documents of emails electronically. It's like signing a physical document with your signature, but here in individual digital signature certificates, it's signed digitally. So this way people know that it's really you who signed the document. Next, we have a server certificate. So it is used to identify a server and ensure secure communications of data over a network. So server certificates, it's like parang imagine like ano siya, you have a website and then that a server certificate is like a digital passport for that website. So it assures that that website say for example has a visitors that your visitors they're in they're interacting with the real website and not a fake one. So this also helps the data securely, and when people visit your website, they know that it is not a fake one. So ganun yung server certificates. So guys, there are different levels of security for digital signature certificates. First, we have a basic DSC. So the basic DSC are like parang simple ID card lang, good for everyday use. And then ang more secure DSC naman are like a passport, and then good for more important things, ganun. And then the most secure naman is are like a super secret clearance na good for the sensitive information. So mostly maganda tong most secure kasi sinisecure niya talaga ng mabuti yung mga, like for example, yung mga sensitive information. Role and secure communication. First, we have authentication. So here, ito yung mga roles ng digital signatures, digital certificates in terms of securing the communications. So first, we have authentication. So it is a digital signatures that ensure the sender's identity is verified, which makes it harder for attackers to impersonate legitimate users or devices. So authentication is like verifying your identity. So, for example, yun nga. Then, when you send a digital document or message, it's like adding stamp that says na this is from then your name, ganun. So, the other person can check the stamp, which is you, to be sure na it's really you and not someone like pretending to be you. Ganun siya. Parang bini-verify niyan, ikaw ba talaga yung may-ari ng ng digital signatures or digital certificates na yun. Okay, so next we have encryption. Okay, so encryptions in digital certificates, it encrypt internal and external communications to prevent attackers from intercepting and stealing sensitive data. For example, TLS, SSL certificates encrypt data between a web server and a web browser. So encryption is like keeping your information secretly. So here in digital signatures, encryption or digital certificates, encryption can also be used to encrypt your information, like putting a lock on box to put secrets, and then only people with the right key can unlock the box and read the information. So yun yung role ni encryption, parang nilalagay niya lahat ng information into secretly, even if it is a digital signatures or digital certificates. So siya yung mag-handle ng mga information mo, at siya din yung magsisecure ng mga informations mo. Okay? So next, we have a zero trust architecture. So in digital signatures, it is used to context of zero trust architecture to enhance cybersecurity, and then they eliminate the notion of trusted networks and validate all entities and their access requests regardless of their location. So zero trust architecture, it makes everything like securely. Okay, so in digital signatures or in digital certificates, zero trust architectures are used in a special way called to make sure everything online is safe. So it's like assuming that no one is trustworthy and making everyone prove that who they are before they can access anything. So yun. And then last, we have secure email communication. Okay, so DSCs can be used to sign and encrypt emails, ensuring that the recipient can verify the sender's identity. So here in secure email communication, alam na natin yan, it is sending secure emails just like with letters. Ganon. You can use digital signatures to sign and encrypt email. So this means the person you're sending the email to can be sure that it's really from you and that no one else can read it.